learning is doing. In the past, there's been more of a sharp distinction between book smarts and street smarts, or between, learning and applied knowledge. So there's always been a bias, and perhaps rightly so, in regards to success towards action, that if you just think about things, you're not going to make it that far. You actually have to implement them. You have to do. The people that do are very action-oriented, have a big advantage. And paradoxically, although that's always been true and is still somewhat true, it's being flipped on its head to a certain degree. The thinking and the planning is becoming much more important than the doing, and the two are actually two sides of the same coin. So I know this doesn't intuitively make sense, so I'm going to unpack it. Okay, so here's the deal. So the first thing is that in an age of information overload, if you just do, you're going to be doing things that are not informed if you don't have a broad base of knowledge and continual learning to back it up. So there's so many people just out there doing, but they're not accomplishing because they're doing things in an unenlightened and uninformed way relative to the competition. So yeah, you have to do things, but you have to do them out of a sense of cutting edge knowledge. Otherwise, you're just doing things that are not going to have any effect in the world because the world is too complex nowadays. So how do you get that cutting edge knowledge so that when you do things, which is obviously still a very important component, that they are effective? Well, it's not just knowledge. It's not just reading a book. It's actually informational systems. Like I've had other podcasts about this, about how information is turned into just informational systems. So basically, like YouTube is an informational system, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. So what it is that it's not just a matter of reading a specific book, although that can be valuable. It's a matter of leveraging and organizing and utilizing and developing informational networks that you can use to your advantage. So YouTube is something that you can go to every day and learn new things. So if you have a lot of subscriptions on YouTube, every day you can be learning more and more cutting-edge things. Same thing on Twitch. If you're a gamer and you want to learn information about gaming, you could do that every day. Facebook is going to have new news feeds. Twitter's going to have new news feeds. So what do I mean that learning and doing are two sides of the same coin? So when you relate it to informational networks, then all the time that you spend like building up your Twitter list and building new YouTube subscribers, that is actually doing something and is learning at the same time. So learning is actually becoming a form of doing. Like when I add new subscribers on YouTube, am I doing or am I learning? When I watch videos on YouTube, am I doing or am I learning? It's an aspect of both, because what I'm doing is I'm doing in the sense that I'm building an informational network, but I'm also doing in the sense that I'm reworking the structures of my brain, the connections in my brain. So, doing is not only in the world, because like gaming and VR and Internet of Things are becoming real things. So, it's not only so much, it's like a computer and the capabilities of a computer. The brain is not exactly like a computer, obviously, but what you have in your brain and what you have in your brain extension, which is like your phone, your informational networks that I've been talking about, is really like your map. Your mental map is now your map. They say there's a difference between the map and the territory. I won't even get into that. But your mental map, and by extension, your technology map, is, in large sense, your reality, because what you can access is what you can do. So if I'll give you another example. Google. It used to be that you had to memorize facts. Now, who needs to memorize facts? You could Google them. It used to be in the past that you had to read maps. Now you can do GPS. So if you have the capability, it's basically the same as doing the things. Like I can know nothing about anything, but if I know who knows it, they're in my network, or if I know the tools that need to do. So when you're building up the tools, you are learning and doing at the same time.